Welcome to The Explainer. In the world of medical technology, you're constantly caught in this tug of war, right? On one side, you've got this relentless push for continuous improvement. On the other, the non-negotiable, ironclad demands of regulatory compliance. If you get it right, you dominate the market. But if you get it wrong, well, you're facing some serious audit exposure. So today, we're going to talk about how AI can finally build the bridge between these two worlds.
Okay, let's just cut right to the chase with this one. This quote, it gets to the very heart of the matter. In most industries, it's all about speed, right? Faster, faster, faster. But here in our world, the real prize is controlled improvement. And that one simple idea, that distinction, it changes absolutely everything about how we get better.
All right, let me paint a picture for you. And I bet this hits close to home. Imagine a Kaizen event for a diagnostic device cartridge. The team, they're absolute rock stars. They figure out how to combine a couple of steps, they move an inspection, and boom, cycle time plummets. Everyone's high-fiving. But then, the auditors show up. And that tiny, seemingly harmless change to the inspection, it just torpedoed a validated process, creating a massive compliance gap. This is the exact kind of headache we're going to solve today.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the dilemma itself. Then we'll diagnose what's actually broken. From there, we'll explore how AI can act as that missing integration layer. We'll get into 5 really concrete AI opportunities, see the new operating model this creates, and finally talk about what this all means for you and your strategic value.
All right, so let's really dig into this problem. This isn't just some abstract idea from a textbook. It's the tightrope you walk every single day in MedTech operations. How do we get better, faster, and smarter without breaking the rules?
But look, before we can fix it, we've got to figure out what's actually broken. Because this isn't about your teams not trying hard enough. It's about a deep, systemic disconnect that allows these productivity losses and compliance gaps to stick around, even in the absolute best organizations.
And here's the core of it. The problem is this three-way disconnect between your continuous improvement systems, your quality management systems, and all the operational data and tribal knowledge floating around. They all exist, but they're living in their own little silos. They don't talk to each other. And that empty space between them, that's where things go wrong.
All right, so let's break this down, starting with the first major gap in the system. And it's all about how we manage, or more accurately, fail to manage, what our organization actually knows.
So here's the thing. Most of our improvement efforts, they're basically running on human memory. All that critical knowledge is just scattered. It's on whiteboards, buried in Excel sheets, locked in someone's meeting notes. And what's the result? Well, you know it. Lessons get lost, the same root cause gets rediscovered every year or so, and your organization is just stuck on a hamster wheel, repeating the same learning cycles again and again.
Okay, so that leads us right into gap number 2. And this one's all about that invisible wall between your quality teams and your continuous improvement teams. Think about it. Your CAPA system is like a meticulous detective, documenting every single clue. Your CI system is the SWAT team, ready for action. But they never share notes. The knowledge gets trapped in the CAPA system and rarely makes it over to the CI team that could prevent the issue from ever happening again. It's a total knowledge loop failure, and it's exactly why the same problems keep popping up.
And that brings us to our third big bottleneck. This is a huge one. It's a massive source of friction every single day.
You know the drill. A CI team has a brilliant idea, a real game changer, but then comes that dreaded question. Does this affect validation? And right now, answering that is slow, it's manual, and honestly, it's totally inconsistent. It all depends on which engineer you happen to ask that day. It's a constant drag on actually getting things done.
All right, and gap number 4, now this one's a little different. It's not about something you're missing, it's about something you're swimming in.
I mean it. You are literally sitting on a gold mine of data. NCRs, CAPA logs, yield trends, downtime reports, you name it. The clues for your next big breakthrough, they're all in there, buried deep. But how do we find them? We call a meeting and go with our gut. The data is there, but the system to actually pull out the insights just isn't.
Now, when you look at all these gaps, it's easy to think, man, our lean program is failing. But that's not it. This isn't a lean problem, it's an information architecture problem. And that is such a critical distinction because that's a problem we can actually solve with technology.
So, what's the fix?
This is where AI comes in. And look, let's be super clear. We are not talking about replacing your people or your processes. We're talking about using AI as the missing piece of the puzzle, the connective tissue that finally links CI, QMS, and your data together.
This slide just lays it out perfectly. What AI is not going to do, it's not here to replace Kaizen, and it's not replacing your engineers. But what it does do, this is the good part. It amplifies their work, it augments their decision-making, and, this is the big one, it finally creates that system memory your organization has been desperately missing.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually do it? Let's get practical. Here are 5 concrete, high-impact ways you can apply AI in your operations, like right now.
First, you build that institutional memory engine, so you never lose a lesson again. Second, you create a validation impact advisor to kill those delays in change control. Third, you inject an intelligence layer into your CAPA system so it can finally talk to CI. Fourth, you unleash AI to hunt for those buried opportunities in your data streams. And fifth, you use it to systematically capture every bit of knowledge from every single Kaizen event. See what we did there? Each one of these directly plugs one of those gaps we just identified.
And look, when you start putting these pieces in place, it's more than just adding a new tool. You're actually building an entirely new operating model, a whole new way of working for both improvement and compliance.
And this table just says it all. You go from being reactive, always fighting fires, to being predictive and getting ahead of problems. You stop relying on fragile human memory and start building robust, system-based learning. And you graduate from just using an engineer's intuition to giving them superpowers with data-assisted discovery.
So what does this mean for the business? What's the bottom line? Well, it's huge. We're talking fewer recurring CAPAs, which, makes auditors happy, way faster root cause analysis, getting rid of those endless validation delays, making decisions that are actually consistent across the board, and of course, just being way, way more prepared for any audit that comes your way.
All right, let's bring this all home and talk about you. Because understanding this stuff, knowing how to build this bridge, that's not just an operational nice-to-have. It's a massive strategic advantage for your company and, frankly, for your career.
So after all of this, what's the one thing, the real gap, that leaders like you need to be laser-focused on closing?
It's this. The true gap isn't about not having enough CI projects or a weak QMS. It's the gaping hole where an intelligence layer should be. The layer that connects your continuous improvement, your quality management system, and all your operational data. That is the prize.
Just think about the skills we're talking about here. Kaizen, validation constraints, quality systems, operational data, and improvement culture. Let's be honest, almost nobody understands how all of these things really click together. If you can master this unique intersection, you become incredibly valuable. This is where the future of operational excellence in MedTech is headed.
So I'll leave you with one final question to take back to your team. Take a really hard, honest look at your operation and ask this. Are we just running on memory, doomed to repeat the past? Or are we actively building intelligence, creating a real, lasting competitive advantage? The choice and the opportunity is all yours.